A trip to Brazil to meet a woman whose body made her a national icon. The watermelon woman, known for having one of the biggest and most talked about asses on the planet. What starts as a joke quickly turns into a look at fame, insecurity, obsession, and the strange culture built around Brazil's love for big curves. This is the biggest ass in Brazil, and the story behind it you weren't expecting. The story begins with the crew finally meeting Andressa, the woman Brazil nicknamed a Mulher Melancia, the watermelon woman. She greets them with loud energy, sharp humor, and the kind of confidence you only get when your body shape turns you into a cultural phenomenon. She laughs at her own fame, showing off her curves without hesitation because she knows exactly what made her famous.
Olha o tamanho do bumbum dessa menina. Tudo começou, na verdade, foi numa rádio.
And she's not shy about it. Her butt isn't just big, it's exaggerated to cartoon levels, the kind of thing that stops entire rooms mid-conversation. And yet, in person, she's surprisingly grounded. She knows people stare, she knows people comment, and she's learned to treat it like a performance she controls. What shocks the crew most is how much of her identity has been shaped around one body part. Every interview, every headline, every gig she's booked for, all of it comes back to the same thing: her curves. She talks openly about living with that pressure, the weird expectations, and how strangers treat her like a walking attraction. She jokes that she's famous from behind, but behind that humor is someone fully aware that her body turned into a brand, and that brand has to stay big, loud, and visible for her to survive in the spotlight. Once the crew starts exploring Brazil's obsession with curves, things get clearer. Andressa isn't an anomaly. She's a product of a culture that loves big hips, big thighs, and especially big asses.
Bom, agora a gente está indo aonde eu faço estética. Vamos lá?
Eventually, the crew follows Andressa into the gym, the place she says created the body everyone talks about. And instantly, it becomes clear she's not exaggerating. Her routine is intense, non-stop, and focused almost entirely on her glutes. Heavy weights, high reps, machines designed just for legs and butt training. She moves like someone who has been doing this every day for years. The trainers treat her like a celebrity athlete, and she commands the room without even trying. People stop mid-workout to stare, whisper, or film her when they think she's not looking. Andressa doesn't mind. She laughs it off, knowing her entire career comes from the work she does inside these walls. They speak with dancers, performers, competitors, and everyday women who all say the same thing. In Brazil, having curves is power. It's admiration, status, and even a form of social currency. They walk through neighborhoods where this ideal is everywhere. Gyms dedicated to glutes, contests celebrating the biggest butt, and people explaining that here, the body is a form of self-expression as much as it is beauty. The documentary makes it obvious. Andressa didn't just fit into this culture.
Acabou. Ó, deixa eu mostrar. Minha unha. Unha de melancia.
She became one of its central icons. But the flip side is harder to ignore. With admiration comes pressure. Women talk about the competition, the comparisons, and the extreme routines needed to keep a curvy body in Brazil shape. Some admit to surgeries, some to injections, some to countless hours in gyms trying to keep up with a standard that only gets bigger every year. Andressa fits right into this narrative, proud of her looks, but also fully aware of the expectations tied to them. The crew begins to understand that behind the fun and humor, there's a deeper story about body image, obsession, and a culture where curves are celebrated until they're no longer big enough. As the day goes on, the crew starts to see what Andressa's life actually looks like beyond the stage persona. Everywhere she goes, people stare, not casually, but openly, shamelessly, sometimes even circling around her just to get a better look. She's used to it. She poses for photos, smiles when people shout comments, and even laughs at the shock on people's faces when she turns around. This attention never stops, even when she's tired, even when she's trying to eat, even when she just wants to exist like a normal person. Her body has become public property in the eyes of the crowd, and being the watermelon woman means she can't ever turn it off. And yet, she handles it with a strange mix of pride and frustration. She loves the fame, but she hates the assumptions. People think she's plastic, fake, or surgically built, but she insists it's all real, shaped by genetics and intense training. Women stop her asking about her routine. Men beg for selfies. Kids point. Through all of it, she seems to understand something the audience didn't at first. She's not just famous because of her size. She's famous because she embraces the insanity around it. Loud, playful, self-aware, and fearless. In a world where everyone feels watched, she's someone who learned how to turn the spotlight into armor.
Bom, gente, agora eu vou mostrar pra vocês como é que eu faço a velocidade 6. Tipo cinturinha fina, popô GG gigante, só.
Outside the gym, the documentary shifts to the strangest side of her fame, how the world interprets her. For some fans, she's a symbol of Brazilian beauty. For others, she's fetish fuel. People shout comments at her in the street, some playful, some vulgar. And she reacts with the same thick skin she's built over years of being publicly defined by one part of her body. Or make wildly inappropriate remarks. Things she's so used to that she barely reacts anymore. It's disturbing and fascinating at the same time. She's both admired and objectified, praised and sexualized, celebrated and reduced. She knows the duality, and she's learned to survive it. What's surprising is how she handles it. Instead of hiding from the attention, she leans into it with humor and boldness. She tells the crew she knows exactly why people follow her, and she's not ashamed of it. If anything, she flips the script. She uses the attention to build opportunities, to travel, to perform, and to stay in control of a narrative that would crush most people. Fame turned her into an object in the public eye. She turned it into a career, a persona, and ultimately, a kind of power that belongs entirely to her. The crew follows Andressa into one of her photo shoots, and instantly, the energy changes. She switches into performance mode like flipping a switch. Lights on, camera up, music blasting, and she starts posing with the confidence of someone who's been doing this her entire life. She bends, turns, angles her body, and exaggerates movements specifically designed to highlight the curves she's known for. It's theatrical, almost cartoonish, but she owns every moment. The photographer doesn't have to direct her, she directs herself. She knows exactly what fans want to see, exactly how to position herself, and exactly how to turn a simple pose into a viral image. But behind the theatrics, something more telling happens. They react to it, comment on it, hype it up, almost forgetting she's a person attached to it. Andressa, however, has mastered the dynamic. She plays into the exaggeration, performs the watermelon woman persona, and treats the entire shoot like controlled chaos she knows how to navigate. What looks wild from the outside is actually routine to her, a stage she built and learned to own long before the cameras arrived. As filming continues, the documentary digs into what it really means for a person's identity to be built around a single physical feature. Andressa reflects on how her fame shaped her life, the opportunities it brought, but also the labels it trapped her under. Everyone wants the watermelon woman, but not everyone cares about Andressa. She talks about being judged, underestimated, or treated like she has nothing to offer beyond her body. People think they know her because they've seen her from one angle, but she explains that hardly anyone sees the work, discipline, or personality behind the image, and how she deals with being sexualized non-stop. She describes how fame gives her power, but also removes her privacy. Everyone feels entitled to comment on her body, but no one asks how she feels about being reduced to it. And yet, she carries it with confidence, refusing to let public perception crush her. She turns vulnerability into armor and attention into influence. She's aware of the weight of being a symbol, but she's also aware that she took control of that symbol before anyone else could define it for her. Toward the end of the documentary, the tone shifts. The cameras capture quiet moments, walking through the streets, sitting in cars, talking between shots, and the contrast is stark. Without the posing and performance, Andressa looks almost normal, human, not the exaggerated character the public sees. These small moments reveal that fame built on physical exaggeration comes with its own loneliness. Everyone loves the image, but few bother to look past it, participates in it, and sometimes gets tired of it, but also knows it's the reason she has the life she has. That duality becomes the real story. Andressa isn't pretending to be something she's not. She's simply learned how to control the way the world sees her. People stare, judge, admire, objectify, and laugh. But she's the one who turned it into a career. She's the one who made the jokes work for her. She's the one who figured out how to survive in a world obsessed with her body. And the documentary makes it clear. Behind the fantasy is a woman who built an empire out of attention, discipline, bravado, and unapologetic ownership of who she is. And that's the real ending. The watermelon woman isn't just a viral body. She's a symbol of how fame, culture, and identity collide. She's the product of Brazil's obsession with curves, but also the master of her own narrative. The documentary leaves you with a final thought. Sometimes the loudest, flashiest story hides the most resilience. Andressa's life may look outrageous from the outside, but inside it is strategy, toughness, and a woman who refused to let anyone else define her shape, her story, or her power.